All right, you ready?
Yes.
All right, so episode 4, we're going to discuss the nutrition challenge today. We have Allison here as well. She's going to chime in. We're going to run through this, basically what we posted on the blog and which was on the website for the challenge, but just going into detail about the categories, why we're doing it, the rules, the points. I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so 30-day challenge starts on Monday, April 16th. It's $25 per person to participate. I put the link on the website. The link will take you to Tribe, which then is going to ask you to sign in through your Tribe account and I believe just kind of go through like the regular login that they have. If you don't have your login and you need to sign up, email Allison.
Yes.
And we'll reset the password. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I can just basically send them an email and the
'Cause
email will
there
tell them
was a
to
couple this
reset
morning,
it.
actually. And as I realized it, I'm like, okay, we need to get that figured
Yeah,
out.
you can just message me and I'll send it.
Okay. A few things. So $25 per person. One, that's paying for the in-body machine, which we just got in, which is measuring body fat percentage at a very high percentage rate for, standard to the gold standard. It's not just like a caliper or the handheld things, which are not accurate. This is going to do one, an accurate measurement, weight, height, body fat percentage, water ratio as well, and per limb. So both legs, both arms. We're going to give folks 2 trays, which we'll get into after what the trays are, how they're being used and what they are. And daily charting will be in the gym. Rich is going to handle that, setting it up downstairs. So all the names will be there, the days, points will be there. Folks need to add their points, obviously, from day to day and keep track of it. I'm working on in the Tribe actually having it where we can have an electronic version of the leaderboard as well versus just here. So that should be done. We'll have prize packages with money for first through third, and then non-monetary prizes as well. So
How many times are they going to be doing the in-body testing?
beginning and end.
Okay.
Yeah. And that'll be really a gauge. Going forward, we're going to have the in-body here, but that's going to be a per charge use for anyone who's using it. Honestly, most of I'll be using that machine out of here mostly. We are going to have nutrition packages and things that include that, but that machine costs a lot of money to get, and it'll be paid for each time it's used, and it will go into other challenges that we do here, but also the nutritional packages. So when folks do nutritional packages, that'll be a start for us. Also with individual programming and some of the other kind of avenues that we're going with it, that machine will be huge, and it'll be great for your challenges.
Yes.
All right, so few rules, how the points are coming together. 1, eat real food. We'll get into this in more detail, but 2, don't eat too much. 3 to 4 trays based on your body weight, which we'll get into. Sleep 7+ hours a night. That's another point. And workout. We'll go break those down now. Eating real food. Had to have a mother at one point or come from the earth, right? Really simple. And I'm sure questions will come out about that. Just kind of curious, or, folks will be wondering if, I don't know, maybe they'll wonder. That's where the online group and the Facebook group is going to be a part where people will write into the group and folks will answer it. But if it had a mother, if it came from the earth, you can eat it. That's it. No, literally nothing else. No processed foods, nothing from a box. If it's a grocery store, you got the outside, you got like 2 sections in that whole store pretty much to shop from. And again,
go ahead.
That's for the challenge. You know
right.
what I mean? So as we get into where they'll go after the challenge, that's not the point of this. It's 30 days. These are the rules. This is why we're doing it. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be a challenge. So
yeah. There might be a few, which we can get into this at some other point too, but I think that there might be a few exceptions to not in the perimeter.
Yeah.
Like you're obviously, if somebody wants to buy a clean tomato sauce, things like that, or obviously you're buying some things like, possibly a nut butter or oils and things like that.
Yeah, the few things that we are
There's
going to
be a few
allow
things
as well, right?
Yeah.
So nothing processed nothing is allowed that's processed. Now, where we are going to, I guess there's a gray area, is like the RX bar. Yes, we're going to allow it because it is processed, but everything in it
is clean.
Is clean. The issue is, what we're getting into is you can't really eat the RX bar because you can't snack.
Right.
So you either include it in your tray, which I guess you can if you would like to, but that doesn't seem benefit. It's not the point of this. So eat real food. Not too much to cover on that. We have trays. We ordered the trays. They're 32-ounce trays. We're going to give everybody 2 of them to go home with their dishwasher safe and all that. But you could just buy them. They're like, I don't know, it was like $20 for 20 of them or something. So those trays will dictate their portions without measuring food. So if you are over 165 pounds, you're allowed 4 trays a day. If you're under 165 pounds, you'd be at 3 trays a day. There's going to be a little bit of gray area there for the folks who are right there on the cusp, who are unbelievably hungry, maybe a little bit more active than others. They could go up to easily that 4th tray. The point of this challenge isn't to measure foods. It's simply to clean up your lifestyle, eat properly, which would cover 98% of the population.
Right.
There are exceptions for folks who need more of one thing, less of another, or more food or less food, whatever it may be. But this will cover pretty much everyone that we're targeting with a food challenge, right?
Right,
If
in
they
general,
are simply trying to lose body fat percentage, trying to lose weight, this is going to be perfect for them, minus dialing it in later. It's like a really good start, a really good foundation. And it's also where our gym is going to go for our philosophy on nutrition going forward, which I don't think we always speak of it here. We don't hammer it down. We haven't had it set in stone on the site. Well, we are now, and this is what it's going to be. Eat real food. Don't eat too much. Mostly vegetables. Sleep, workout. Your life will be really good at that point.
Yeah.
Yes, there's exceptions. That's not the point of a challenge. On to the next one. Sleep 7+ hours. Some people, they, obviously even 8 to 9 hours is better, but we're trying to be realistic. 7+. There was already people like, oh, I'm not going to get it.
A lot of people have trouble getting 7 hours of sleep.
That's fine. But again, it's a challenge.
Right.
And you should be, to not sleep 7+ hours is fine as adults if you make that choice and you simply, that's your only option. To try to justify that with some sort of ridiculous statement that you don't need it is silly, so
everybody needs at least 7 hours of sleep because it's just connected to everything else. It's stress, it's long-term health, it's everything. So your immune system, all of that is better. Sleep is going to help with all of that.
And again, it's a challenge. So.
It's a challenge.
And
for
here's
sure.
another thing on touching on the sleep. Many folks already messaged or chatted where they're saying, well, is it like 7 hours of sleep? No, if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you can't control that, then you can still get your point, right? Your effort to sleep 7 hours is there. I think thereafter, or if the challenge, who knows, maybe a lot of these folks hormonally are a little bit off. That's why they're waking up. Certain levels are off. They're having issues there. This might revamp that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
If not, then after the challenge, we would try to assist in that with maybe some third-party supplements that'll help balance things out, but they still get their point. Give yourself the 7 hours to sleep. If you wake up a couple times, that's fine. I don't think it's good, but it is what it is. You're still putting in the effort to sleep 7 hours, so you get your point. Workout consists of doing a workout or a legitimate workout. If we have folks who are traveling and they're hitting another box, great. If they're going to do a full yoga class, that counts to me. We're not going to simply say you have to do CrossFit, but trying to just tally up points and be like, I went for a walk with my dog. No, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
A legit workout with intensity or some other area of focus, i.e. yoga, some sort of, whatever else folks do. If they're in a basketball league and they're playing for 2 hours a night, okay, that counts, right?
Yep.
And again, there's gray areas with some stuff, but no one's going to cheat on a challenge. I would hope. That's absurd. It's kind of like if you work out, you get your point.
Yeah.
You don't get to go walk outside for 10 minutes and say you did a recovery walk, right? It's not the point. So you shouldn't be getting 7 days of points with that category, or else something's probably off.
Right.
You are recovering.
You do encourage rest days.
Yes. Yeah. And it's we like to treat these things kind of as a competition, I guess, because there is a system to it, but
don't work out every day just to win the contest.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping. I didn't eat my veggies. I missed those points. Well, I'm going to work out 7 days a week. Make sure I get all 7 there. That's not good. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, that's the 4 points that are available.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered the sections of those. Now going into each, so eating real food. So we put examples on that list on the website that we had, and the examples were really simple. It was, protein, carbs, and fat, and some examples of each. Protein, we put fish, meat, eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if it had a mother, if it came from the earth, we're good to go. Touching on protein shakes, not allowed in the challenge, with the exception of the body fat, which we'll get into once we go down to the frequently asked questions. But so fish, meat, and eggs, simple. They go in one compartment of the tray, the smaller compartment.
Right.
Carbs, starches, they'll go in the other small compartment of the tray. We put on here sweet potato, squash, fruit. We left out a few that are allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But the point was, and I kind of put in the notes there, that we're looking for nutrient-dense carbs. That's not to say that we're going to allow rice.
Yeah.
Right?
Quinoa.
Quinoa, and that's actually more nutritionally dense than rice. But rice probably the biggest one for everyone. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're allowed to have rice. Should you base your entire tray off of rice? No.
Yeah.
There is no nutritional value in rice. It actually has... It's kind of a horrible food, to be honest with you, only because it gets masked where it's like it's a clean carb. It's a starch, yes, but there's no nutritional value whatsoever. So if you are trying to put yourself through this challenge and get the tray to line up, you should not be just shoving rice in there every meal.
Yeah.
If you have rice because that, is part of it, fine. We're going to allow it. We're not going to exit. But if you are one who's taking this seriously and trying to truly better yourself and line yourself up, then don't eat rice. Right? Don't stack every single meal full of rice. That's not going to be beneficial. Sweet potato, squash, fruit, rice. Again, there's exceptions there and some stuff, and we'll chat about it in the group online. I'm sure people will ask.
People ask questions. Yeah.
But I wanted to touch base on the rice thing because that's probably the biggest question. Just because a lot of folks eat rice a lot for their carb, and there's just better things you can choose to eat for your portion of that tray, that meal. Fat, again, labeled plenty here: avocado, nut seeds, coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, grass-fed butter, ghee. General serving size, your thumbnail, it's the size of your thumb, basically, keeping it small, thinking because you're going to get fats from meats, and trying to manage without giving folks macros, which I think is the next step to nutrition. You do a challenge, you'd clean up your lifestyle, you'd have proper quality, and then you'd go to quantity from a macro standpoint.
Right.
This is trying to do that without making everyone measure things and understand macros. Right. So
doing those all at once might be a little bit too overwhelming.
Agreed.
So.
And it becomes a ridiculous challenge.
Yeah.
Now, how do you measure that? I mean, it's who stays in what percentage of what macro, and then could you go to Mike? I mean, you could, I don't even know how you do that, but that would be fun. So, and then vegetables. Yes, that's what it said.
Eat of them.
All. Yeah. I mean, there's literally, and make sure you understand what a vegetable is. There's a lot of gray area there as far as...
A vegetable is not a potato.
Yeah, what is considered. Some people, and it's silly to say, but it's just the way it works. So many people mention things, I'm like, that's actually not a vegetable. So.
And I think because you're putting that in the larger portion of the tray, I think that's where people are going to start to be... They're going to start to realize how many vegetables they don't eat a day.
Yes. Yeah, me.
Yeah, you eat any vegetables.
Yeah. Is that gummy?
Because it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to get in a lot of vegetables a day. So
yeah, you're telling me. So yeah, you got to figure it out. I mean, again, it's a challenge for a reason. It's going to be for a lot. It honestly won't be difficult, and it'll just be fun. And for others, it will be unbelievably difficult, and that's even better. And for the few and far who stick through the entire thing and commit and give a wholehearted effort there, they'll see unbelievable results. And then where they go from there, which we'll touch on a little bit at the end of this, but again, we're going to focus on the challenge instead of writing all this in a blog post and trying to deliver it. Hopefully this hits more people. It's easier to listen to. Hopefully we touch on everything. Getting into the frequently asked questions. How many trays? We'll touch on it again. Over 165, 4 trays. Under 3 trays. You're right there on the cusp, and you need more food. That's fine. Eat 4. We're not
right, and you don't need to fill the 4th all the way.
Yeah, you could go happy medium. Again, it's a challenge, and it has a number set to it, but there's a gray area. Like for someone who's 164 pounds,
right,
who works out once a day, plus has a lot of activity maybe in their personal life, they're playing with their kids for sports, they're doing this to do. Okay, they'll be perfectly fine on 4. You know, they're not measuring macros.
They'll probably
anyway.
have to play with it. Like it might take you a week or 2 to figure out
Yes.
what works best, but that's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Just figuring it out.
No processed foods whatsoever.
No hot dogs.
No
cold
cuts. There's no exceptions at all, right? I mean,
No boxes of, I don't know, gluten-free pasta.
No. Yeah, and the thing is that why I think it's going to be easier is the fact that you can't snack. In this challenge, you are only allowed to eat your trays.
It's hard.
Touching on the trays thing, we're not going to force people to do the tray, even though you should. Okay,
Right.
I'm not going to force you because I can't hold your hand outside this gym and you could just lie anyway, and you could eye it based on your plate. Right, I have a big plate and I have 2 smaller sections with my protein, 1 with my starch, and the rest of the plate is vegetables. Okay, fine. For everyday life and thereafter, that's perfectly fine. Would I rather you use the tray and stick to the guidelines so that you're on the same page as everyone else? Yes.
Yeah. I think if you're using the tray for the full month, you're not going to need the tray going forward. You know, you're just going to know how much you need to use.
Agreed. Yeah. And that's all it is the tray is just building good habits. That's all we're
Right.
trying to do here in 30
Right.
days. We're not,
Right.
It's why we're not ruling out all sorts of food, you know, every
And being
category.
super restrictive, yeah.
There's a little bit of deviation there, but because we're not trying to transform bodies relative to internal, meaning you're going to
gut and
we're not
right.
trying to go that route. For most, it's not sustainable, and honestly, most it's not necessary. There's exceptions, and those folks can do more one-on-one nutrition stuff, but most people don't need that. So, no sweeteners or anything added. Nothing with added sugar is another rule of thumb. You know, again, nothing processed, no snacks, and nothing with added sugar pretty much dictates what you can and can't do. You're going to fill your trays. You're going to eat your trays. Don't overflow the trays. And you're going to stick to that. And yeah, some of you guys may be hungry. Oh, well.
Drink
fine.
water.
Lots
Drink
of water.
water.
Right? We'll touch
Because
on
that actually, I mean, a lot of times when people think they're hungry, they're actually thirsty. If you drink water, you will feel full.
True. No chewing gum. Just
A sugar.
Shit in that.
And that includes like honey, you know, paleo sugars. That includes honey, maple syrup, all of that.
Yeah,
correct?
don't add it. Yeah. Again, after the challenge, don't get me wrong. Or
Switch to that.
Legit maple syrup. There is sugar, but enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's just if you're doing a challenge and if you're trying to stick to something, you don't need it because you're not eating pancakes to throw your maple syrup on.
Right.
There's many things that you may not be eating in this 30-day challenge that you may add in after, just as maybe you're on a 90-10. Like, I'm going to stick to pretty much that consistent, and I'm going to enjoy and indulge a little bit. Fine.
Right. Which people should do.
Yeah. That's not the point of this. You shouldn't just not enjoy things. It shouldn't be the
It's
norm.
balance.
It
It's
should be an
finding the
exception.
balance.
Yeah.
It's finding the balance after.
So after sweeteners, coffee. Coffee is allowed. Caffeine is perfectly fine. You can't add sweeteners to it. What we are going to allow is the unsweetened nut plant-based milk products, right? And do we go with that's like the almond unsweetened
almond coconut?
Milk. Yeah, you can add that stuff in. So we're going to allow that. We're not going to completely cut that out, which some challenges do. No alcohol of any kind. And this is silly. I'm probably the outcast on this one, but even where paleo had gone, where they allow certain if you are promoting drinking alcohol, that's absurd to me.
I don't think there's any paleo or any challenge out there that does allow alcohol.
I thought they do now, allow tequila or something.
No, it's paleo, but they don't allow it on a challenge.
It's silly. It's an asinine question. I don't even understand it. I can't. People actually have asked that, and to me, that is a stupid question because
I think people don't realize too. It impairs your sleep.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's so many things. So just to see
adult.
how your body can feel. Yeah.
People can they can do whatever they want in their personal lives, but we're a fitness facility. We're not blocking out the norm of what happens out in the world and the decisions people make and what they enjoy and what they decide to do. But we're not going to encourage that. That's absurd, let alone a challenge. So just moving on from that. No alcohol.
No alcohol.
Protein powder. Okay, so this is the catch a little bit. And this is based on not so much just the challenge, but where we will go with this facility altogether. New folks come in. We have the challenge folks who are coming into classes now, wanting them to understand what they should and shouldn't do. super simple. And we're putting some numbers on this. And a lot of this stuff, honestly, in this challenge, we're not inventing all this. This has been done. Even gyms here in New England had done it. We had a gym out west that I got a lot of this from that did. They were the first ones I seen that didn't say like, okay, we're not just attacking this like no dairy, no, they kind of said, hey, let's generalize it, eat real food, simplify it. And the protein powder is a gap there, but we're going to go the route of body fat percentage. And because we happen to have a $10,000 machine here now that does an amazing job at measuring body fat, that's the InBody machine. And the accuracy is like 98 to 100% of a DEXA machine. For anyone know in the industry, it's like the gold standard. If you go for cancer studies, bone density tests, that's the machine they're using. This is relative to that as far as accuracy. So we're going to have it in-house. I'm going to be doing a ton with it outside of here as well. But having that, we're going to now put this catch, I guess, in there.
Yeah.
If you are under 15% body fat as a man and you are under 22% body fat as a woman, you are allowed a post-workout shake, which we would like to see as some sort of high, value product. Like our protein here, grass-fed, whey, that's what they're going with. Fine, we'll allow that. If it's a plant-based, fine. But some sort of high quality, meaning if there's 24 grams of protein in that shake, the package in your serving shouldn't have 55 grams of shit.
Right.
It should be very close. Right. Your protein and the total grams per serving should be damn near identical or really, really close. Because we're not going to I'm not going to say, oh, you have to buy Stronger, Fast, Healthier, but obviously I think they should. But again, this is for the folks who are at that body fat percentage. So for those numbers that we chose there, which again is not reinventing the wheel, we just make those up. We know other folks that did challenges with those body fat percentages in mind. They had really good success with it. Across the board, from a general public standpoint, those numbers are fairly consistent relative to people's goals. Meaning if I'm under 15% as a man, I'm probably not that concerned about leaning out, and it's not like dictating my entire day in nutrition, right? So this challenge for me, if I was under 15%, would be health, longevity, maybe sleep patterns, mood, hormonal imbalances that maybe I found out from blood work. There's other routes we can go with that. But for the sake of this, under 15 as a man, under 22, you can have a post-workout shake. If you're over that, no post shake is how we would dictate your point about basically not eating too much, which is not allowing snacks. Right. Again, there's a gray area.
There's always a gray area.
If you're like 16% body fat as a man and you're fully content with that, and we have a lot of members that do other things outside of this gym, like they play a sport, they do this, their activity. Okay. You may want to. Now, the argument is really simple, just so folks understand, and I'm sure there'll still be questions. Having a protein shake after you work out is simply because it's much faster absorbing than waiting and going home and eating a meal. The negative to this is if at any point your body was to start fasting and going into a different state, keeping insulin levels steady, blood sugar levels aren't adjusting, you wouldn't want a protein shake because you're going to have an insulin response from drinking a protein shake. You're going to affect blood sugar levels as things play. You don't want that. If your sole goal is to lose body fat percentage and lose weight, you don't need to be messing with that. You can just eat your full meals, be perfectly fine. You're not going to deplete yourself and all this bullshit that's preached on the internet. It's actually really difficult to deplete those levels and require the need for that stuff. Yes, people who are working out 3-4 times a day, doing tons of activities, that's a huge piece of their recovery. For the general public, for most members here, for people who are here 1 hour a day, maybe a little more, they don't need the protein shake. So that's where we're going to go with the challenge. Okay. It's all based on the machine. And then, again, there'll be a little bit of wiggle room there. Just like for the 3 to 4 tray thing, like we're not trying to say. But they will say, once we do make that decision in the beginning, those folks need to be consistent. Don't go back and forth. I'm not going to do shakes. Okay, great. A weekend, you're like a little hungry. No, just stay consistent for your 30 days. Keep yourself accountable in that sense. Let's see. So then we really just summarize the points. Eat real food. Sticking to the tray. No snacking. That's a point. Sleep at least 7 hours. Exercise. We went over the criteria to that, what we're, I guess, considering exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much the summary of the challenge. I think I'm assuming majority of questions will come from a food.
Yeah. Is this
Is
allowed?
this allowed?
Yeah.
And that just seems to be with every challenge.
Yeah.
I like to think that this is easier. Like, you can't snack.
There'll still be questions.
Yeah. If it had a mother, it's pretty easy, I think. That's actually, no, that's not true.
I think there might be questions that, I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, I think there might be questions about things like condiments and things like that. I know a lot of them have sugar. Those obviously wouldn't be allowed, but say somebody, there's mustards out there that don't have sugar that are clean, or, someone like me who makes homemade mayo, things like that.
Things like that, though, I think we touched on it with the, with adding in the unsweetened milk-based stuff. You could create a lot of stuff with that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward. If rule of thumb, don't try to get creative to the point where you're like, I'm going to go outside the box here. I'm going to make another angle, but it's going to be allowed. Don't do that. That's silly. Yeah. It's 30 days. It's not that difficult. 30-day challenge. Stick to it. Make it simple. Thereafter, if you want to add your condiments and create things, absolutely. I mean, that's what you do. Is you especially make meals and get fancy and make it worthwhile and where it's sustainable. There's no reason to do that on a 30-day
during
challenge.
The challenge. Yeah.
Thereafter, I think, is where people can really hopefully see tremendous change with this, and not just take it as a challenge, but say, okay, this is awesome. This generalized approach of eating real food, not too much, mostly vegetables, sleeping and working out. If you could base your life on that, I would argue that, again, majority of the folks would be very successful in their goals. You know, health, longevity, whatever, PRing in here, being more fit, lean, looking good. I mean, majority of our members simply want to look good naked. That's it. That's how that's the world, right? So I think if they stick to this as a foundation, everyone would accomplish their goals.
Yeah,
now,
I think with any challenge, the goal of the challenge is, I mean, you're not going to do a challenge and then just go back to your old ways. It's a waste. So, people do.
I have a couple times.
Yeah, I know. Just a couple. The goal is to set yourself up for a long-term healthy lifestyle, but find the balance, so maybe you have an ice cream on the weekend. Who cares? Because, most of the week, most of the time, I always say, if you're good most of the time, you're doing better than a lot of, way better than a lot of people out there. But it's learning, using the challenge as a learning process and, learning to read labels, learning to, know what you're putting in your body, learning, that you're probably not eating close to the amount of vegetables that you're supposed to be eating. Yeah. Things like that.
I know.
And then I always say to people, like, think about why you're doing the challenge. A lot of people do challenges to lose weight. They do it to sleep better. They do it because they have inflammation. Like, maybe somebody's doing the challenge just to win it. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I like it.
But think about why you're doing the challenge. And then, when the weekend comes and you're like, oh, everyone's going to get an ice cream. Well, I just won't get the point. Yeah. That's not the point of the challenge. Like, if you really want to notice how good your body can feel, then be true to the challenge and just, give it an honest try.
Yeah, I think two routes I want to go with this, and we'll end it with that on the two routes, but because they've been brought up. We're laying out a foundation at a base. If someone wants to take this and kickstart it on no dairy, no grains, no legumes, and go crazy with it, awesome. You could do that.
Are you allowing legumes?
I guess it wouldn't line up. We didn't talk about that. It wouldn't actually line up with any of the food choices. Okay. But I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to go that route of truly, like, what we would consider the perfect case scenario diet for someone who really wants to restart their system hormonally, create balance in the gut, arguably reversed, diseases and things like that.
For sure.
That's the way they would go. They can do that on this challenge too.
Yep.
They could. We might not know because they'll just do it on their own. And by all means, you can go that extreme if you choose to. We have some allowances that, if someone came to me with those kind of issues, like, I wouldn't let them eat rice.
Right.
Unless they were fermenting it and doing all sorts of weird shit on their own end, even yogurts. I mean, but where many people, I'd be like, yeah, just let's figure it out and dial in somewhat of a macro balance and attack it with, little bit of persistence there, like keeping the numbers. But again, two routes to go with this. If folks want to go that extreme, by all means, I think it's great when people do that and actually do a self-study. Like truly
I think everybody should do it once in their life.
Agreed, yes. I did it for
If you
almost a
haven't
year.
done it,
Yeah.
you should definitely do it.
If you don't eat 100% paleo at one point in your life for over 30 days,
Right.
you, in my opinion, you don't have an argument. You're not allowed to tell me what will and won't work, what you're allergic to or you have a reaction to and what you don't. I don't even take those people seriously because you truly don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And the books won't tell you that. They'll give you ideas. They'll give you premises to start with. But until people do self-studies
Mm-hmm.
and truly reset their system.
And it takes a long time.
It does. And then reintroduce it. A lot of times if they're arguing, I'm like, this is not even an argument. It's a one-way debate here because you haven't even done it for yourself. So, but I just wanted to mention that because some people did say, hey, I was thinking of doing a 30-day paleo type thing. And my stance on that is do this challenge, but do your route. That's totally, you'll line up perfectly with this.
Right.
You'll just be even, the few
More
gray
strict.
areas that we're allowing,
More
you're not
strict
going to
than-
take advantage of. And then the opposing side to that, and this may be, it may be a moot point as far as, but I know one member because they did chat with me where they're having some gut issues. So they're not going the keto state, or at least I hope not. I
hope not either.
Yeah, I did voice my opinion on that, but they are going a very high fat like diet, which I'm not opposed to for many people. It's just when you say a high fat, in my eyes, that's not no carbs and truly going ketosis. Like that's not healthy. Trust me, there's exceptions to that where people truly should do that.
Right.
If you are that exception, you also should not be doing a CrossFit class an hour.
Exactly.
But if in fact there are folks in the gym who are potentially working with a naturopath or something that's, I don't know, another angle, and maybe we just didn't know about it, and you are manipulating things to go higher in fat and lower in carbs, keeping aerobic efforts, I hope if people are doing that here, that those people who are directing them are also smart enough to tell them that any sort of intensity relative to aerobic pieces, those sprints we do, 4 minutes hard effort, 4 minutes rest, you better not be sprinting. Because if you are eating that way and manipulating your body on one side, but stressing it in here, you'll just get sick.
Yeah.
So I do hope the folks, if they are in here, that whoever they're working with is not just preaching one side of it, that they're also saying, hey, maybe those workouts you should do, we should govern those a little bit. But I want to throw that out there as the other extreme case. So if you want to go paleo and eat perfect and dial everything in, great. That's awesome.
Right.
I wish more people would do that throughout their life at one point.
Yeah.
But if you're also the other end of the spectrum where maybe the tray, that fat that we're talked about that was very minor, you need more or you'll operate better off more, then that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to discuss it with us if you want. You just can kind of go along with your challenge, and you may be still I'd like your tray to be proportionate relative to like that protein, that starch,
And the vegetables.
and the vegetables being probably the largest point there. But if their fat needs to be higher because of it in that tray, that's cool.
Right.
We're not going to jump in there. I would love for those people to come forth. I'd love to have a conversation because I had the other day it was informative to see, just because you learn more about the people here, why they're doing something. Some people don't want to chat about that, like gut health, but it's uncomfortable for them, which is fine. They don't need to get into details, but if they had some issues or concerns, I know I can answer those questions, so I'd love to chat about it.
I love those details.
Yeah, like you can fix that stuff. I mean, so cool. I think that pretty much sums up the challenge. We're starting April 16th, Monday.
And you're doing
We're going to meet Sunday at 12:30 here at the gym. Not mandatory.
Come with questions.
Thereafter, as far as your measurements and things like that, we're not putting it into the challenge because honestly, it's not relative. And we had some folks who brought that up. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
There's no way to, and if you can say, oh, it's a percentage base, it doesn't work that way. If you dive into it and you understand how the body breaks down, it's simply not. If there's someone who, let's just say 150 pounds overweight at X% body fat percentage, they're gonna lose tremendous amounts of more weight or body fat relative to what they're doing, and especially probably from this tray standpoint. So you get into like semantics at that point. How much do you want to break it down and try to make an even playing field? And honestly, that's not the point of the challenge.
Right.
If people need to lose weight, I want them to lose weight. if they need to lose body fat percentage, I want them to lose body fat percentage. We have some really lean folks here who should be adding body fat percentage, right? So we're trying to manipulate that a little bit. So I don't want to reward the one who needs to lose weight for losing weight when there's plenty who honestly would be healthier gaining 1 or 2% body fat.
Yeah.
So we're leaving that out. That's more of like,
you're just doing it to know whether or not, how much food and
just the lifestyle. It's just the lifestyle choices. It's a good balance of lifestyle choices here that we're doing the challenge this way because it also will not deviate from now when new folks come in and I get emails, which I get all the time. Hey, what's your stance on diet? It used to be my legit reply was, kind of like paleo-ish with a little bit of gray, that's the more I said it, I'm like, that's just an unintelligent response. It pissed me off to even write that. Once I looked back on it, I'm like, wow, you're just an idiot for even writing that because while it makes sense when I say it because I know what I mean by it,
right.
It's a gray area approach to someone who wanted a very firm answer.
Right.
And I wouldn't say, oh, we're paleo, even though we are, I guess. Relative to health, I think that a paleo lifestyle
mostly
is a phenomenal choice and arguably the best if you were to just say what's the best diet from a health longevity standpoint. Okay, probably a paleo approach because it's not a macro approach, a quantity.
Right.
It's honestly just saying, hey, you're eating really healthy shit. That's it.
You're not eating any processed food. You're eating all whole foods.
Who can argue that?
Right.
No one,
you
right?
Can't.
So you could argue paleo from a macro and a density standpoint. That's where a lot of arguments do hold true because they try to go these routes. They undereat a lot. Sometimes they, sadly, they eat just like a bunch of fruit all day long and they think they're healthy.
Or they eat a bunch of bacon and that's not healthy either, Just because you're eating paleo doesn't mean you can eat paleo and not eat any vegetables and that's horrible.
We are allowing bacon on this, right? Just clean bacon.
It's processed.
Is it?
But I mean, it's something that I would allow. No sugar. You have to get the no sugar. No nitrate bacon.
Yeah, you got to get the clean quality stuff. I mean, that's like saying you buy meat from the store.
But that's like a gray area. That's processed, but yes, but it's if you get the no nitrate, no sugar bacon.
I still want people buying meat from the store, which is typically processed. So, but again, what we're not going to do, we're not saying you have to buy grass-fed meat. Right. Should you? Yes.
Yeah.
Not even a question. And the argument's gone now. I think that's been squashed for years as far as the quality of meats which people are buying, but I'm not going to dictate someone's finances and what they can or can't do. So if you don't have to buy
all organic, you don't need
agreed. If you can, there's a list online, right, of like the bullshit that is irrelevant to buy organic and then the stuff that makes sense.
Right.
So maybe go look up that list or
the Dirty
we can post
Dozen.
it. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you can post it in the group. So
sure.
Finishing the Facebook group, there's a nutrition Facebook group. It was created, I don't know, years ago, right? All our challenges are in there. We're just going to keep that one going.
I think your first challenge was when I joined.
That was the best.
6 years ago.
The best one we ever had was the first one, honestly. It was we did the whole 30, right?
It was a whole 30 challenge.
That was pretty good. I think a lot died off, don't get me wrong. That's one thing, too. A lot of folks said, 30 days. And we went back and forth on this, right? 15.
21.
Yours is 10. Yours
Mine's
is 10.
10.
21. We went back and forth. But where I think we went to 30 was like, listen, we're not being like crazy folks here saying you can't. We do have some allowance there, so I think 30 days is great. If you were going like 100% in on something, maybe shorter. Which granted, I think it should still be a challenge, and 30 should be doable. But I think the 30 with these guidelines will be very doable. Also, create really good habits for people, which will then carry out thereon. Follow up to this challenge will be us just continuing to drive this home to the community, continuing to build on the nutrition packages that we've offered, which I've personally done a ton of them, one-on-one sit-downs. We've done macro build-outs for people. We honestly don't want to do the babysitting in some cases relative to just throwing it out there and then just follow up. We want the full nutrition packages that we offer, which we have some coaches that are going to be doing that. That's like month to month, kind of things. That's not just babysitting though. These are people are legit diving into food adjustments, supplement replacement stuff to balance out hormone levels, stuff to help with sleep. Yes, babysitting a little bit, but not relative to just hand holding and collecting money like a personal trainer. More so, they're going to dive into the changes and the adaptations that people need in order to actually keep their diet sustainable. Because that's the biggest thing. Some people they understand what they should do. when you throw them in their life into the real world with stressors from this angle, it becomes non-sustainable for that person. So that's where I like those packages that people are paying outside of here. So we're hoping to bring it inside the walls with a better product where you will have a coach assigned to you month to month that will in fact keep you in check, but also work with your life. I do it individual for programming. Nutrition's no different. A general approach can work for most, yes, but a lot need that more individualized approach. And with nutrition, I think it's timing, people's lifestyles, when they work out, kids. I mean, you could go on and on and on. We could have a podcast.
And I think this challenge is that good first step.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, people did ask, that was one question, like, oh, what about this? I'm like, that's all follow up. Right. That's all. Did you do this and crush this?
What do you do after?
Great. Yeah. Then you get creative. I think you start manipulating your diet, right? You start saying, okay, let's go back, look at my general tray that I made. Let's try to figure out what that broke down to from a macro standpoint. Cool. Let's manipulate and adjust that. And now you can start having some fun with nutrition. You can truly manipulate hormonal balances, adjustments, I guess. But now if you really want to see how many abs I can get, beach season's coming. Cool. That's going to be more of a macro breakdown than it is simply a quality of food choice.
Right.
But in my opinion, you can't even get there
until
you understand the quality.
Right.
So many, if we took our community and said, hey, what's a fat, protein, and a carb? How many calories in each? I guarantee you 60+% don't understand the difference between a gram of fat and a gram of protein from a caloric standpoint. I would bet anything on it, because they don't need to either. But without understanding it, without understanding food quality choices, without understanding the role that a lot of that stuff plays in of snacking and things like that, what's the point of breaking down macros? That's why I hate those companies that you can buy a template right now for macros.
Yeah.
And they allow you to eat donuts.
If it fits my macros.
Yeah, because they're assholes.
Which is dumb.
I'm putting that in the podcast because they're assholes.
When people say they can eat a donut because it fits in their macros, I just just cringe.
Dylan and I had this conversation. I think we both got so heated we had to literally remove ourselves from our own. We just leave the conversation. I forget where we were, but it was because people are making a killing out there off of the general public with templates on macros. Bullshit templates on macros and it's funny because I understand where they're going with it from a sales approach. You'll get more people if you tell them they can eat all this shit food, but line up their macros and you'll be good. The really horrible part is they're kind of right. You will look, you'll look great.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't always understand the difference between Hershey's chocolate and a piece of fruit. It doesn't always decipher that. And for many, it won't even correlate over to being fat. They could, as long as they truly do line up the macros, they will be aesthetically pleasing is what that they but what those people are doing, in my opinion, should be like a crime, because this is we came up with this really simple thing. If you knew you had 100 people and you could do the macro diet however you wanted, and every one of them would get a 6-pack and every one of them would love you, but one's gonna die,
right?
Would you do it?
Yeah. No.
Probably not.
No.
Yet that's literally the risk you're taking when you start those companies.
Kills your long-term
templates.
health.
You're like, you don't know the genetic potential of someone. Are they prone to cancer? Do they already have many things that are going wrong, lining them up for that kind of disease or many other diseases? And you are simply throwing fuel on the fire there with all your sugar, where you're saying, hey, you can eat whatever you want, just meet my macros.
Yeah.
All it takes is one, where your entire business philosophy and approach gets killed by me. Because my thing is macros great. Don't choose to eat shitty foods all the time to hit your macros and completely disregard the fact that you may in fact be lining yourself up for some serious problems.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to end on that before I get super pissed.
Yeah, you're going to going off on a tangent. It's a good tangent because it's one of my favorites.
We could chat about that for 10 hours so I could name all the companies, but I won't do that. All right, cool. So April 16th, questions, concerns, email in, post in the group. I'm going to kickstart the nutrition group. I'm going to post it again into the CrossFit free group and
so people
on the
can
website
find it. Yeah.
So they can find it. Add yourself or however it works. Join. You'll be posting a ton of, I'm assuming, food stuff. That's what you kind of always post as well. Rich is pumped. Rich is going to be probably single-handedly holding the entire gym accountable somehow. I don't know. He loves that stuff, and he does a phenomenal job at it. So I'm going to crush it, Coach Andrew. I know that. That's pretty much I'm guaranteeing it.
You're going to eat vegetables.
I know. I don't know how. I feel like he's going to crush me in the vegetables. Brandon, you worked
Your taste buds change. The more vegetables you
know.
eat, the more you crave them. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I had
you never
16
know.
points last week for workouts alone somehow. I don't know how I'm doing it. No, I'm gonna try this. So, all right, cool. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.